This podcast contains discussions of coercive control, emotional abuse, psychological abuse, and sexual violence. Listener discretion is advised. Hi, and welcome back to After the Quiet. This is episode 91. There were so many moments throughout my marriage that seemed small on their own. Moments that I never would have called abuse at the time. But looking back now, I can see the pattern. It wasn't just about controlling where I went or who I spoke to. It was about making sure nothing belonged to me. Not my time, not my interests. Not even the things that brought me peace. I've always loved to read. Ever since I was a little girl, books have been my escape. They've always been the place where I could breathe. When the kids were finally asleep after a long day, one of my favorite things to do was run a hot bath, bring a book with me, and simply read for half an hour. It was one of the only quiet moments I had. But even then, that became a problem. If he saw me reading for enjoyment, there was always a comment. "What are you reading now? You always have your nose in a book. Must be nice to sit around doing nothing." The message was always the same. Anything that made me happy somehow became selfish. Anything that wasn't centered around him became something to criticize. Then there were the nights that crossed into something much darker. I would be lying in the bathtub reading. He would come into the bathroom to use the toilet. Nothing unusual about that. Except, while he was urinating, he would suddenly turn toward me and urinate on me. On me. On my book. In the bath water. I remember just freezing. Shocked. Humiliated. Trying to process what had just happened. There wasn't an apology. There wasn't embarrassment. There wasn't concern that he had just done something degrading to another human being. It was treated almost like a joke. Something I was supposed to get over. Today, I understand what that was. It wasn't an accident. It wasn't immature behavior. It was humiliation. It was degradation. It was another reminder that even the one place I felt calm wasn't really mine. Because if I enjoyed something, it could be taken away or ruined. That wasn't limited to my hobbies. It extended into my relationships too. Over the years, people slowly disappeared from my life. Not because I pushed them away, because he made them uncomfortable. He would send strange messages to my friends, to coworkers. Sometimes they were overly familiar. Sometimes they were bizarre. Sometimes they felt threatening. I often didn't even know the conversations had happened until much later. People would slowly stop reaching out. Coworkers became distant. Friends became harder to keep. At the time, I blamed myself. Maybe I wasn't a good enough friend. Maybe everyone was just busy. Now I know that coercive control often isolates people without locking them in a room. Sometimes it simply makes everyone around them so uncomfortable that they quietly step away. By the time we moved into our final neighborhood together, we had wonderful neighbors, people who looked out for one another, families whose children played together. It should have been a fresh start. Instead, the rules followed us there too. He was allowed to have everyone's phone number. Men, women, it didn't matter. He regularly texted our female neighbors. That was perfectly acceptable. I, however, was only allowed to have the phone numbers of the women. Having a male's number, that would have been considered suspicious. Looking back now, it's another example of how different the rules were. He could have access to anyone. I had to justify everyone. One afternoon, I was sitting on the front porch while our children played outside. One of our neighbors drove by on his little lawn tractor. He loved riding that thing up and down the street. Everyone knew him. Everyone waved. As he passed, he smiled, waved, and simply said, "Hi." That's all. One word. Hi. I waved back. Inside the house, my husband heard the exchange. That single greeting became evidence. Within minutes, he had built an entire story. The neighbor wasn't just being friendly. According to him, the neighbor had only said hello because we were having an affair. Think about how impossible that is to live with. If someone ignored me, that was suspicious. If someone smiled, that was suspicious. If someone said hello, that was suspicious. There was no version of reality where I could simply exist. Every interaction became another accusation. Every ordinary moment became another interrogation. Eventually, you stop talking to people, not because you're hiding something, but because you're exhausted. Because you know that every smile, every conversation, every wave across the street will become hours of accusations once the front door closes. That's one of the hardest things to explain about coercive control. People often ask, "Why didn't you just ignore him?" Because ignoring wasn't an option. Every accusation had consequences. Every imagined story became hours, or sometimes days, of questioning. You learn to make yourself smaller, quieter, less visible. You stop reading, you stop talking, you stop waving, you stop being yourself. Not because someone physically forces you to, but because you're trying to survive. The goal isn't simply to control your behavior. The goal is to control your reality. Until one day, you don't even recognize yourself anymore. Thank you for listening to After the Quiet. If this episode resonated with you or reminded you of someone you know, please consider following the podcast and sharing it with someone who may need to hear it. Because sometimes the most damaging abuse leaves no bruises at all. And sometimes simply hearing someone put words to your experience is the first step toward finding your own voice.